You are listening to Middle East Monitor Conversations, bringing you lively discussions with prominent voices from the region and beyond, as we delve deeper into issues shaping the Middle East and North Africa, from politics, the culture, and the arts.
Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to another conversation with the Middle East Monitor. My name is Nasim Ahmed and I will be your host for today's conversation. We're really delighted to have Mehmet Kaplan, who is Muslim Aid's country director for Sweden. He is at the moment in Antakya in Turkey, where he has seen the devastation caused by the earthquake. We're really delighted to have him and get his thoughts about what he's seen and the work that Muslim Aid has been doing, and generally the humanitarian campaign that is underway in Turkey. We've all seen the devastation. We've all seen the heartbreaking images. But as I said, Mehmet has been there, and I wanted him to tell us firsthand, Mehmet, your sense of the scale of the devastation and what you have seen. I also want to tell our audience that the internet isn't very great where he is at the moment, but hopefully it will be good enough for us to have a report back from Mehmet about the humanitarian situation in Turkey and Syria. So please, Mehmet, go ahead, tell us about the scale of the devastation, what you've seen in Turkey.
Thank you for having me, Nasir. A devastating earthquake, not one, but more than one, which is, as I understand, unusual. The geologists are speaking about this as the disaster of the century. And we have been here for almost 1 week, traveling in the earthquake affected areas. We are now in Antakya, which is in the province of Hatay. And it is close to the epicenter, which is just north of Hatay province. It's in Kahramanmaraş, where we also have been in. Our estimation is that it was going to be hard, but when we are traveling around and looking at the streets, at the buildings and all the massive devastating ground strikes, then it looks like a war zone. It looks like you go into one street and you are looking around and it's like looking into a Mission Impossible movie where bombs landed and devastated everything. But it is real, and it's real people who are under this debris, and people from all over the world are trying to help with search and rescue teams. For the last 2 days, I have been seeing people from Sudan, from Malaysia, from different parts of the world, and they are all having one goal, and that is to try to find and rescue those under the rubble.
Do you know if rescue operations are still finding survivors, or has the hope of finding any more survivors completely vanished?
There are still survivors, and that's why all the machines who can just come in and take away the rubble, they are not going all in still. This is my experience here in Antakya, especially. The entrance to Antakya, which is 2 main roads, are full of machines who can actually do it very quickly, but they are waiting still, because today we got reports that there is actually, they found people here in Antakya, and there are several of them, also kids. So there is still hope, and I believe that that hope will diminish within days, because it has been so many days now without food, without water. So we are expecting that it will be a big loss for Turkey and for Syria, but this is what it is, and we have to do what we can do as Muslim Aid Family and all the other NGOs from the world, but also the authorities here and the government.
Is Muslim Aid also operating in Syria as well as Turkey, or is that very difficult for you?
It is difficult, of course, but we do have partnership with different NGOs, which we have vetted and did due diligence on, so that we can find good organizations to work with. And we have several partners working both in Turkey and also in Syria. And Muslim Aid Family has been doing this for several decades. So for us, this is the normal, but it's not normal with several earthquakes like this. So this actually has stretched our abilities, but we are also proud that we have been able to reach people on the ground with short notice because of this good network of partners.
So what are the challenges that you're facing in delivering assistance, essential assistance to Syria that you're not facing in Turkey? Because Turkey, as you know, it has a number of international organizations and countries have gone to Turkey, but they haven't really gone to Syria. So what are the challenges you're facing? Because as you say, you're working in Turkey as well as in Syria. What are the different differences in the challenges you face?
It is a challenge wherever you work in the world, of course, but to be not so diplomatic, it is about the war. It's the war where the UN Security Council can't agree upon how to handle it. And it has been devastating for the people of Syria. And this is something, it's a big shame for the world community that this war has been going on since 2011. And we can't do anything about it. But nevertheless, we have partners on the ground, and we are reaching them from different with different ways. And one challenge is, of course, the finance transfers, because of the sanctions, it is quite hard to work with organizations operating inside Syria. But this is something which has been changing lately, thanks to the understanding that we actually have a humanitarian crisis going on. And it has been a forgotten war, actually, because when the Ukrainian war, which is another hotspot, started and is going on, then all the headlights has been switched to that part of the world. We believe that we need to understand that we have to have focus on different areas in the world and not forget people wherever they are, if they are being in a situation where they actually can't help themselves and need help from abroad.
And in terms of the help itself, what is Muslim Aid offering in the global operation that's taking place with so many other organizations? What kind of activities are you doing? What have you seen that's really essential for people, for the survivors? What do they need? So from a Muslim Aid's perspective, what are you doing and what are the essential need of the survivors?
It differs from time to time, Nazim, because in some areas you need some sort of help, and in other areas you have to actually adopt. If you don't adopt, then you will have a map, but the reality doesn't fit to the map, and then you can't act accordingly. So you have to adopt, and we have areas where we are quite big in food delivery. So there are bread stores and there are food packages, there are wash projects, but also areas where we actually has managed to build playgrounds. Because sometimes when you see areas which is war-torn, or like here in Turkey now where I am, struck by earthquakes, you have to understand the sheer magnitude of it, because it is huge. It's so many people being affected. As I told you before, I was in other parts of the earthquake area, Gaziantep, for instance, which is my hometown. I'm born there. And I was walking around in the 2 million plus city during nighttime, and it was like a ghost city, ghost town. It was these tall buildings, because they are up and running, but there are no people in them because they have been so much damaged. And then you have to understand that what you need there is shelter and housing, both short-term and long-term housing. And if you are, for instance, in Syria, It's a war going on for more than 10 years. Then you have children who has been born in war and being growing up in war. They need education, they need playgrounds, they need a safe environment so they can feel that they actually are having values. We are talking about right bearers as Muslim made, that every human being has right to dignity and to the right to live and prosper. And today they are denied these rights. So it is different depending on where you are looking from. But as an INGO, which is faith inspired as Muslim Aid are, we try always to rest on these values we have and also be on the ground. Because when I'm walking around here, it is of course very hard to communicate already as it is. But if you know some language, if you have some skills in social networking, and also you have good and working partner organizations, then you can do change. For instance, a small episode was that we tried to reach our partners in Gaziantep. We have many of them, but they were hit by several earthquakes. So suddenly it was very hard to communicate, because they have been hit and struck, and they have relatives, they have friends, they have colleagues which has been under the rubbles. They are there and they have been losing close friends. This is something which you have to understand, that you can't operate directly from that. Then you have to adopt. So what happened was that our partners from other part of Turkey could actually come in within 24 hours. So that kind of strength is only possible if you have long-term good relationships with the civil society in the country, because we are a civil society organization. We are a non-governmental organization. So our partners are the NGOs, because we know that they know the area, they know the people, and they know how to operate in far and quick way. So this is what we are trying to do.
I mean, you are on the ground. If I could ask a question that's quite sensitive. I mean, I've seen on social media, there's people complaining and blaming the Turkish government for the disasters. As we know, natural disasters can happen anywhere, but governments can, governments are able to mitigate some of the deaths and destruction by building, earthquake-proof houses, earthquake-proof buildings. They could do that, and there are towns in Turkey, for example, Erzin, I heard, which suffered no deaths. There was no building that collapsed, and one of the reasons it didn't collapse was because the construction agencies did not violate many of the building codes and rules and regulations. So is the mood changing on the ground? Are people, the victims and survivors, beginning to say, this could have been, the devastation could be far less if the government had imposed sanctions and rules and regulations to make sure builders build buildings and homes that abide by the codes? So are people starting to now change their attitude from survival mentality to now looking at someone to blame? Is that happening?
There is, of course, a time for rebuttal and questions, but I think we are not there yet, because we still are meeting people waiting outside their houses, which is not houses anymore. It's a pile of grovels, and they are waiting to find out that their bodies inside there could be taken out. So I believe that there will be a time for that. Today, I'm not sure that we are there yet. So I believe that we will have a discussion about those kind of issues, and also learn, because we have to learn. We have to understand the devastating forces, because there are geology people who are talking about the big earthquake which will hit some part of the world within the next decades. And those areas are only one city is 50 million, which is the whole area here. So we have to be very careful when blaming. The blame game will never end. So I believe that we should have a very sincere and sober discussion about how to prepare for the next one, because there will definitely be the next one.
And we heard today that the death toll has gone above 41,000. It could reach above 56,000. So humanitarian aid will be needed for a long, long time. And millions of people, as we know, have been displaced. So is Muslim Aid's next step in terms of how long you will be there, and other organizations as well? What is I'm sure you're thinking of the long game, that you'll have to be there for many, many, many years to support the survivors. So what's the next stage in terms of the work you'll be doing along with others?
We are here. We have been here for several years, and we will be here for more than so. So I believe that it is very important to be in coordination with the local authorities. Here in Turkiye, it is AFAD, which is coordinating as good as they can, as I understand from all the NGOs I am talking to. And that coordination will also hinder and actually stop the things happen the last few days where trucks came and unloaded goods outside of the city because they couldn't come into the city. So that picture spread all over the world, and suddenly some people started to blame all the others who didn't do it right. But when you have been here for so many days, you understand that there are tents everywhere. People doesn't sleep on the streets anymore, mostly. And it is also an area of sorrow. So I believe that Muslim Aid needs to be here for a long time, and also cooperate both with local authorities, but also with other INGOs, because we can do it together. Turkey and the people of Syria can't actually do it themselves because it's too big. You have to understand if you look at the map and use the map ability to actually measure how big the area is, you will be shocked, because people say that, yeah, it is in this area. But I have been traveling now more than 1,000 kilometers, which is around, I think, 600 miles. So within few days, and it's new city everywhere, which have been hit. And I believe also that it is important to understand that without cooperation, there is no chance that we could learn how to deal with issues.
In terms of size, I mean, I think in Greece they felt the earthquake, and if it was in Germany, every corner of Germany would have been hit by the earthquake. That's how big it was. Just quickly, I mean, there are people, of course, millions of people around the world, their heart goes out to the victims and survivors, and they'll all want to help. What would be your advice to those who want to provide help and assistance from us here in London, others in Europe and around the world? What could they do?
It's a very important question, Nasim, because the first step was that many people wanted to give clothes and that kind of things, and that sometimes we believe that it costs more to transport all these stuff and also to give it out in a proper manner. As I said earlier, trucks unloaded was not many, but big enough, which created a mess where you could see some clothes lying all over the place. So the normal issue here is that there is possibilities for big companies to actually give away gifting kind style logistic situation. So Turkish Airlines, for instance, the national carrier of Turkey, they have been doing this for free for during the whole time. We have truck companies in Europe which has been giving out their trucks so they can be used. As an INGO, we have been doing fundraising, and this is all-time high for my office, for instance. We haven't seen anything near this, and it's still ticking. So when we do get these funds, the banks actually have helped us a lot to transfer these funds to the right partners so that we can be on the ground. So I believe that in the different phases of this earthquake response, we will need different kind of help. I think we are very close to the shelter part now, because there are tents already all over the place, but this will not be done within months. It will take a long time. So I believe more permanent solutions where the world can come together and help the people of Syria and also the Turkish people.
And that's one of the heartwarming things about this. The response has been amazing, and you see it throughout in the world of sport, and also, of course, from governments as well. It's been quite amazing to see. I want to thank you. I mean, we have kind of run out of time, and I want to thank you, Mehmet, for joining us. I know it's freezing cold out there. It's probably 3-4 degrees, as you said. So really appreciate you coming out and speaking with us and telling us firsthand about what is happening on the ground in Turkey and Syria. Thank you very much, and stay safe.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This was Middle East Monitor Conversations, brought to you by the Middle East Monitor in London.